Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending our webinar this evening. Today, we're going to talk to you about CPD courses that we're running in the Royal College of Nursing with academic credits. Next slide, thank you. So my name's Heather Randall, and I'm Head of Education here at the Royal College of Nursing. And I've got a group of people that are going to help me with this presentation this afternoon. Can I have the next slide, please? So I'm going to talk to you first a little bit about the history of how we ended up with academic credits for our courses, and then I'm going to call in the experts. So Chris is going to talk to you about infection prevention and control module because she's the course leader for that, and Tim Copeland is then going to talk to us about leadership to improve physical and mental health nursing. So he's also the course leader, and then Kate Swan is going to talk to you about leading sustainability in health and social care. We're really lucky to have a student that did the sustainability programme recently, and I'm going to ask her a few questions. And then we're also going to have an opportunity for you guys to ask questions. So please make sure that you put something in the chat if you've got anything to say, and we will try and make sure that all of your questions are met. I understand as well that there are captions, so you can have the words in captions, and there's a small link on the right-hand side, bottom right-hand side, an icon if you want to have captions activated while you're watching this presentation. So next slide then, please. So as I said to you before, any questions, please put them in the chat. We've got people looking at them, and we'll try and collect them all up. If we can, we'll answer them during the presentation, but if not, then we will try and answer them for you directly afterward as well. So there's time for that. But you know, it's a two-way conversation. Please don't be frightened to ask questions if you don't know something. Can I have the next slide then, please? So the journey so far. So we've been running one of our courses, the infection prevention control and the improving physical and mental health for a couple of years now. And one of the big asks is always, do we get any academic credits for this? Do we get anything towards a degree or a master's? So we started to look into it and decided to put out a tender process. So the university that was successful went through a robust tender process. And then they were allocated the contract. So Coventry University provide the academic credits for all three of these modules. So we then had to work with them around making sure that our courses aligned with their assessment processes, things like establishing the learning outcomes, the level that we were working at, the assessments, that kind of thing. And we had that then approved by that university. And now we provide academic credits at level 6 and level 7 for all of them. So that's the current offer, but we are looking in the future to expand that into other areas as well. So watch this space. Next slide then, please. So each of the modules is 20 credits. And the 20 credits can be at level 6 or level 7, so at degree or master's level. The programs are 12-week programs that have taught days in them, and there's coaching. So that's a unique offer from the RCN. We provide coaching for all of our members on the program, and that helps them then with setting up their assessment, figuring out what they're going to submit. You do a formative and a summative assessment, and then it's marked by the university. You get support from the RCN digital team and the education team, which are my team, around accessing the links that you need to access, and also we have a learning management system that you'll be connected to. And for the infection control, we've got a really cool lab that you can go and have like a virtual lab and go and look around the laboratories. Reminds me of when I was a student, and well, even not even a student, when I was at school, when you were doing the petri dishes to see what grew in them, so you get to look at all of that. It's really fascinating. So each of the programs is led by a subject matter expert, and we have an educationalist in each of the teams as well to make sure that we're providing the right quality, that it's timely and up to date, and that it's also academically correct as well. You get support from the university for your academic writing. They will help you with tutorials, and also they give guidance on how to write the assessments that you need to submit. So they give written guidance. You've got access to the library, both for the Royal College of Nursing and Coventry University, and you've also got access to their academic writing skills people as well. So there's lots of different resources that you can use to help you to get through the programme and have a successful outcome at the other end. Next slide then, please. So I think that's enough about me. So I'm now going to pass you over to Chris Perry, who leads the Infection and Prevention and Control module, and she's going to tell you a little bit about that.
That's lovely. Thank you, Heather. As Heather's already introduced me, I'm Chris Perry, and I am a nurse, an infection control nurse, by background, having spent many, many years of my career doing a job that I absolutely loved, that I think is completely fascinating. And I was absolutely delighted when I was asked to be part of this programme for the Royal College of Nursing, because I think it's a really, really important area for lots of people to get involved in and to have a level of knowledge about. Even more important, I think, post-COVID, because we've focused a considerable amount on how to prevent COVID over the last 3 years. And it's time now, really, for us to think about other things. And that's one of the comments that we've had from students in the past, that it was helpful to not just focus on COVID, but needing to understand other parts of infection prevention and control, and they found that the programme did that. So what we're trying to do when we do this programme is to make sure that you have the knowledge and the skills to look at the evidence that underpins our infection prevention and control practice, and from there to enable you to make change and to implement local and regional practice change. So what we do is we give you an introduction to microbiology, and we have a subject matter expert for that, Dinah Gold, who's a published author in the field of microbiology, who tells you all about bacteria, viruses, fungi and parasites. I hope you've all had your tea tonight, because one of the things that she's very, very good at telling us about is the practical aspects of this, and she'll convince you, if you do this course, why you should never eat rice that's been reheated and why you should avoid chantilly cream. I'm not going to tell you any more about that, because it'd be great if you could do the programme and learn about it from there. So as Heather has said, we do have the coaching as well, from the coaches who really do also have knowledge of working with students in the past around infection prevention and control, so can guide you in the right direction of what you might need to know about it. So we also we've also got this range of resources, as Heather has mentioned, through the learning platform. And the feedback from the students on the learning platform we've had is that it's really easy to navigate around. They do like the virtual laboratory, as Heather has indicated there, where you can go in and you can follow a specimen as it goes through the laboratory, from taking the specimen right the way through to the results and what that means. You learn about the importance of antimicrobial resistance, and I think that's a really, really important part now of infection prevention that people have forgotten due to COVID, is that we've got to row back and think about all the things that we do in infection prevention and control that are non-COVID, that might be contributing to antimicrobial resistance. And we have some really good podcasts that supplement the talk sessions that give you lots and lots of information about that. Can I have the next slide, please? So this is a snapshot of some of the things that we tell you about. I've already mentioned about the basic microbiology, and we introduced to you the chain of infection, which is a model that you can use to work out your infection prevention, what you need to do for each of these organisms. Excuse me, I've just got to take a sip of water. I'm suffering myself with a viral respiratory tract infection, and I'm being really good. I'm isolated in my bedroom, so I won't give it to anybody else. So the chain of infection takes you through what's the organism, how it might spread, what are the practices that we can do to prevent it from spreading? And that's something that you can apply to sort of any microorganism that you come across to help you work out what your practices need to be. We cover about surveillance of infection. One of the really good things that Dinah does is she looks at the levels of evidence and the critical appraisal behind some of our practices. Now, I think people that come on the course are actually quite surprised when they find out the limited evidence that there is behind hand hygiene. And that's partly because doing trials of hand hygiene can be quite difficult to do. It certainly wouldn't be ethical these days to try and do a randomised controlled trial to wash hands or not wash hands in a healthcare environment. But it does make you think about how you need to present your policies and procedures and your arguments for what you do. We look at recognising and managing outbreaks and a little bit about incident management, and of course important areas such as the assurance and regulation for infection prevention and control. I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to just turn the mic off and have a quick cough, sorry.
I think when you've got a really bad cough like that, sometimes you just have to cough, don't you? Because if you keep trying to hold on to it, then it just makes it worse, doesn't it? But we're really thankful to Chris for presenting, even though she's poorly.
That's fine. I'm back because there's just a couple of more things that I'd just like to tell you about the course. Is how we actually deliver this to you is over 3 days, but they are split into half days. So we deliver it all remotely, and so you do 6 mornings, and it's usually a Thursday, Friday morning, and then another Thursday, Friday morning about a month later and a month later. So make sure that you get that time in between for your assignments. And we've had really good feedback, actually, that the way we present it like that is thoughtfully designed. And also that even though that we are presenting it virtually, like we are today, that we do it in such a way that it's engaging and that we use a lot of breakout rooms to enable you to talk to each other, because we learn from each other. I learn something new on this course every time I do it. There's always somebody that has a microorganism that me and Dinah haven't really looked into in a lot of detail. So we always learn a lot about it. So I'm going to stop there. If there are any questions, do please pop them in the chat box or anything you want to know from me. And now I'm going to hand over to Tim.
Hello there, and welcome to everybody that's joined us this evening. And first of all, a big thanks to Chris, who really managed to brave her way through that presentation, because it's a super course, and I completely understand why she wanted to come and really talk about it, even in spite of her being unwell this evening. So my name is Tim Coupland, and I'm a mental health nurse of 30 plus years, and I'm here to tell you about the Leadership to Improve Physical and Mental Health module. And this is a fairly new module. We have run this module once and we've had quite a bit of interest, and we're running a further programme later in the year and hopefully into next year. And if I first of all just tell you a little bit about how this module came about, and then I can tell you a little bit about the content of the module as well. Overall, the structure is very similar to what Chris has previously shared, and it is structured in a similar way in terms of having 3 sort of days, but split into two halves each of those days. And the overall provision of the module really is about helping people to improve the physical and mental health interface wherever you may be working, whether that's in a mental health setting or a physical health setting. The RCN is very good at responding to what members want to talk about, and this course came about really from some work that was first started at the RCN Congress in 2017, where RCN members said that we really weren't doing enough to address the interface between physical and mental health. And in fact, the research that supports this is quite stark, and it says that those with the most serious mental health problems die 15 to 20 years before the rest of the general population. And also those with a learning disability also also die many years before the general population. And the real cause of this is to do with inequality in care provision, and it's been widely recognised over many years that much more needs to be done. We use this term parity of esteem. It's a term that was first coined in 2011 as part of a government programme, but it's been widely adopted. Really, it talks about providing equal care for those that have mental health problems, and in the same way that those have physical health problems, no matter what setting they may be cared for. So back in 2017, when members really said we should be doing a lot more to support those with mental health problems, we engaged in a programme of work that lasted 2 years, that provided members a considerable amount of resources around how to support and address equality issues for those with mental health problems. And then as we drew that programme to a close, the resources are available online on the RCN website, we thought, well, wouldn't it be a good idea if we engaged in a much more learning orientated approach to help those actively learn about how to improve physical and mental health and the interface in practice, but also how to engage in a service improvement project that would generate real change in their workplace. And I think this has been the real key. We understand the research, we know the theory, we understand the problem, we've understood it for many years, but how do we translate that into some kind of practice? We already got the good example of the previous modules, learning modules that we've run, and so we set about pulling together a program that really helps to enable those that are working in whatever setting to think about the physical and mental health interface and how that works in practice. And so what we have is, I think, as a facilitator of this program, quite an exciting program that really helps us to think about what that interface means in practice, and what it means also in the light of recent the recent COVID pandemic. And whilst we don't spend all of our time focusing on that, what we do is we look at actually how services for those with mental health problems have been widely impacted and what that actually means for services. So what we do is we seek to take you on a journey through this course, and we kind of ask this question right from the outset: what would it be like to improve the interface in your workplace for those with physical health problems? What would it be like, for example, to improve the mental health support for those people? For those with mental health problems, what would it be like to improve the physical health resources and support for those in your care setting? And so what we do is we take you through a programme of work that helps you to discover the impact of inequality. It helps you to think about different ways in which inequality is being addressed. And we have a range of invited speakers that come in that share from their own experience, their lived experience, service users as well, but also those that are engaged in the practice of trying to bring those two services together. So we explore the overlap between those, and we engage in a dialogue throughout the whole programme that enables you to really consider what that may mean for your workplace. And as a result of that, there is some formative assessments to really help you to engage and to think about what's going on in practice in your workplace. But there also is what we call a summative assessment, which is a service improvement project which we will guide you through, support you with through all of the learning resources that the RCN has to offer. In addition to that, like with all of these programs, we provide you with one-to-one coaching support, which enables you to really think in a very creative way about how you, and support you in a very creative way about how you may make that service improvement project really matter and really make a difference. So just in summary, really, some of the content that we cover: we look at equality issues, we look at sustainability and collaboration between service users and what that may mean in practice. We look at the experiences of those who have received services. We look at learning disability issues. We look at issues around social prescribing and how this can help those that we care for. We look at systems and social deprivation. We look at how we can really deliver value in practice. And we also look at how we can learn from each other in terms of the physical and mental health interface. And underpinning all of this, what we really want to teach you about and really enable you to really integrate into your practice is what actually is parity of esteem. What does it mean and how would it work in practice in your workplace? Previous people who've been through the programme have found it extraordinarily helpful to enable them to think about their system as a whole, to think about their workplace. And some of the projects that people have engaged in to date have involved bringing in new agencies, collaborating with others, generating new teaching resources, or maybe also improving quality review and checks for those with physical and mental health problems. What we want you to do, if you choose to join this course, is we want you to produce something really special, something that will really make a difference to those who are in your care setting, so that the interface between physical and mental health is much more robust than it currently is, and that you feel that you're really doing a job to really look after the whole person, not just the bit that they may have come in for. So please do ask any questions. I will be facilitating the programme. I'm really looking forward to the next cohort, which starts in September, and hopefully looking forward to seeing some of you there. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Kate, who's going to talk about the leading sustainability in healthcare.
Kate, you're on mute.
Apologies, I thought I'd hit it. Apologies, guys. Welcome everyone, and thank you again for joining us this evening, taking time out. My name is Kate Swan. I am one of the RCN Professional Leads in Education and the lead educator on this lovely new programme that we have produced this year, Leading Sustainability in Health and Social Care. And it's an exciting programme, and ironically a programme that will address many of the issues that we now have to deal with in the coming years ahead of us. We're well aware of climate change, along with the collapse of the biodiversity, and that they are the biggest global health threats we've had from the 21st century. And with that, the RCN recognise that we do have a climate emergency, which actually is a health emergency. And really, to put that into perspective, it's quite ironic actually to think that health and care services probably contribute significantly to greenhouse gas emission. And that's a major driver for climate change globally. And to put it into perspective, if healthcare was a country, it would be the 5th largest carbon emitter on the planet. And as the largest employer here within the UK, the NHS has a huge carbon footprint, and it's even bigger if we were to add in all of the care homes and the private sectors as well. So recognising that is very important, and I think is something that the RCN have been very active and very forward thinking now of giving people the tools to be able to go back to their areas of work and to try and decrease the carbon footprint of the area that they work. So we have designed a programme that's been specifically to give you as individual these skills and to make impact and sustainability changes wherever you work, and that can be taken home as well as the workplace as well. So it is a programme that really focuses on really what sustainability means to you and what it actually means to you in the role that you currently do. And so it doesn't matter who you are, what background you come from, it actually affects each and every one of us. And we try to address 3 of the major factors within this programme, and that's really the financial impact it is going to have on us within the healthcare setting, the social impact it's having on the healthcare service, but also its patients, as well as everyone else who works in it, and as well as that, the overall environmental impact. So we've been very lucky to have expert facilitators that have come along and signed up to help us actually facilitate this programme. Experts that lead in global and expert climate change, such as you may already know, like Rupert Reid, who is an environmentalist and Arthur. He was one of the former spokesmen, excuse me, for Extinction Rebellion. George Marshall, again, a very well-known environmentalist and founder of the Climate Outreach and Information Network. And along with that, we have been blessed again to have coaching available, one-to-one coaching, demonstrating value and leadership. And all of that we wanted to incorporate within this programme as well. So aimed at developing clinical leadership towards a greener and healthcare sector, we again have the programme over 6 days of blended learning. And what we wanted to achieve with that is to learn about the science of climate change, and I think that's really important, and really what is the potential and what is the impact on the equality of health, the equality of life and habitat that we all live in today. We wanted to also look at the evidence of climate change, looking at what is out there. But as we know, evidence within the health sector, within nursing and midwifery, within any of those areas is limited. So we have to address what we have and maybe look for the future of trying to actually research and have more evidence on its effect. We want to learn about how to contribute to healthcare and climate change and procurement reforms, and that's a big thing, and I think sometimes that's a new area that people are not as sure about. So we want to look at procurement and why it's important and how important it is for the financial as well as the social and environmental aspect to within your organisation. And obviously there is a lot within the course about the introduction of leadership and impact, and we have a special course or a special session on demonstrating value, and that's really to help introduce you to being a leader and being able to talk about climate change and speaking to people who require the information that you might have, so that you can actually be a voice for everyone and pass that on. Sometimes we can maybe bury our heads in the sand because there's so much else going on. You know, you've so much going on within your work at the moment, short staff and everything, but we have to accept that sustainability and climate change have long past knocking at the door. They're right there and we need to address them. We also look at lobbying strategies for yourselves to help change and to change and influence within the area that you work, and how change can be taken forward. And we feel that if you're equipped with all of this knowledge and you're able to argue the point, then that can be done at local right through to international level. And it helps to support, you know, we want to try and get you to be able to say, how do you get people to say, yes, we're going to change, we're going to do something different, we're going to try, and how to support that change when there are so many other medical and health and just day-to-day things within the health service that also have to be addressed. So we want to look at that in general. Within the programme, we've been very lucky. We have a carbon literacy programme, and that's incorporated throughout our programme, and that's an accreditation training on top of this programme, and it's run by the Carbon Literacy Project. Sorry, I'm trying to remember what the name was, sorry. And that's a project that you can find online, and it's been embedded in sustainability behaviour and changes within an organisation for quite a considerable time. And that in itself means that you become carbon illiterate and carbon certified, and any organisation that, you know, becomes carbon literate or carbon is one of those big ticks that everybody, and certainly within your own organisation, that they strive for. So within the programme itself, we have an optional way of looking at it. We do have, as we said, can be done at level 6 and level 7. And again, what we do in those ones, depending on which one you're doing, we're going to look basically at a product from its infancy, so from construction right through to where you dispose of it. And we're going to look at that and see what that life cycle actually is. During it, there is other work, there's pre and post work on the days. There is quite a little bit of work achieved. A lot of it is just webinars and videos and just getting more information and pointing and signposting to the right direction of places that you might want to go. But the course can be, as I say, accredited with Coventry and can go down that line. But you can also do this course just standalone. You don't have to do it as an academic levels. And I think on that, it is really worth doing if you don't want to go down the academic level. Excuse me, somebody's giving me their cough. So we do have options there, and I think it's very flexible and options working for whoever would like to do it. It's open to everyone. It doesn't matter if you are the HCA up to a manager or a director. This is a course that can be open to anyone, and it's set up specifically for anyone at any grade to do. And along with that, obviously, we've got great help from the library services. There's always the programme leads here for advice, and we work closely with Coventry and with our own LMA platform. And I think in general, I think it's a very worthwhile course. So we've been very lucky. We've had the first cohort through, which was exceptional. A few little teething problems as to be expected, but we're hoping to be up. We will be up and ready to go in September. For anyone who is at all interested, please drop us a line and we'll get all the information. You can come back and have a chat with us. But as I said, we are absolutely delighted and to be the forerunners in running one of these courses, and it's something that probably will eventually become part of many, many different courses, because as we know, sustainability and health and social care is now uppermost in many of our minds. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand you back over to Heather. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Kate. So that's all three of our programmes that have got academic credits that we're offering at the moment. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce Carolyn, and Carolyn has recently done the sustainability course. So I've got a few questions for her now that you've finished the programme of study, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Okay.
I finished about June time, just before. So hi, I'm Carolyn Fleurat, and my background is district nursing. So just to explain, really my first sort of step into sustainability was during COVID and seeing the amount of waste that was being produced by community teams, you know, and all the PPE, and just thinking about the impact of that really. So I did start to look into sustainability and how we're, you know, affecting the earth with all this waste. And it all horrified me really. And I looked into my organisation and looked at any courses that they might offer or any training. I couldn't find anything. So obviously then this course came around through the RCN, and it just seemed absolutely perfect really. I've got a very personal and professional vested interest in sustainability. You know, I am aware of, you know, the impact that our NHS contributes to the greenhouse gas emissions. I looked at our carbon net zero plan and realised that actually as nurses we're the biggest workforce. So, you know, it's up to us really to influence change and play that role in reducing those greenhouse gas emissions. And just thought, you know, the course, you know, will support, you know, it would support me really to practice it in practice and to sort of share my learning with other nurses and other professionals, and work together really and develop ideas. So that's, you know, really my reason as to why I chose that module.
That's brilliant, thank you. Can I just ask you as well, so for you, what are the benefits? So I'm looking for what are the benefits for you, for your organisation? You've kind of touched on it a little bit, and for the wider nursing profession of doing this programme.
I think for me personally, as I said, I started to sort of look into sustainability and sort of the impact of climate change and different things. But I think until I did the module and, you know, listened to some of like the speakers that we had and looked at the content of the course, it was really eye-opening, and actually, you know, I learned so much and about, you know, addressing my own practice and my own sort of personal waste at home, and you know, and how we are as a family. It really made me conscious. I think having the credits attached to it was really good, because it sort of gave me that confidence really to go back to my organisation and really show that actually, you know, I've got this learning now and I've got this knowledge, and actually we need to, you know, push forward with this. I am a sustainability champion within my organisation, and we do have a green team, but the green team is very corporate led, so it was really good as a nurse to go back and be able to give some of that clinical support and ideas around how actually we can change practice on the front line and be more sustainable. So I work very closely with them now, because I think they appreciate that I've been through that learning. Again, the coaching element was absolutely brilliant. My coach was fantastic. I still speak to her now, and she's really helped me, not just with the course, she absolutely did, and we talked through the assignment together, and she gave me any pointers and advice, and again made me think about how I could, you know, change things or look at things or different types of learning. But she also helped me with sort of professional conversations and career goals, and she supported me with sort of a change that I wanted to do in practice, how to sort of use this demonstrating values to deliver that to my leaders, and to make sure that I presented it in the right way so people would take notice, really.
That's brilliant, thank you. So I'm just looking at the chat. So the first one was infection prevention and control, just to answer that question. So what would you advise someone who would like to take part in these programs? What would you advise them about the journey?
Yeah, I think, you know, go for it. It was really sort of, you know, really accessible. It was all online. I think, you know, Beth and the team are fantastic support. Coventry Uni, when I first started the module, they called me just to make sure that I'd got set up and I could access the portal. Any problems I had, they were able to sort out really quickly. There was loads of, you know, lots of guidance. Winnie, who is one of the leads on the from Coventry University, came to speak to us about the assignment. She gave us our contact details. We were able to ask her questions around the assignment. So it was fantastic. And I think, you know, just my experience since doing the module, as part of the assignment of the at the end of the module, one of the sort of actions was we had to present a change in practice or an idea that we wanted to take forward in practice around sustainability. And I was lucky to sort of connect with a few people and some of the guest speakers that we had on the course, and has been able to sort of be in contact with people from NHS England, you know, the Q&I, different organisations to support me to deliver my change. And it's had real backing from the leaders in my organisation, because they've seen the value and I've had the evidence and the support to deliver it in the right way. So I think, you know, if you're looking for, you know, trying to make that difference in your organisation, trying to improve that practice and be that voice and really sort of encourage others within your organisation to be more sustainable, and thinking about your own professional career, you know, pathways and different things, you know, and working towards, you know, that carbon reduction across NHS. I think it's a really worthwhile programme, and you'll absolutely take away something from it, whether it's professionally or personally, and like me, probably a bit of both, really. It was just really enjoyable.
That's brilliant, thank you. And it's good to hear about the connection with the university as well, because the submission of your assignment can be a little bit challenging, can't it? Because if you've hasn't worked at degree or master's level for a while, and they're then providing you with lots of support. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, every university is different, and they've got different portals and different ways of doing things. But it was, you know, it was fairly easy, and they did support us to do that. And happy to say that I passed my assignment, so that's good. Well done.
And yeah, at the end of it, obviously you get your credits and you get a certificate from the RCN to say you've completed the course. So it's really nice, and it's something to show, you know, your managers and you know, put on your CV ready for, you know, if you want to do something else around that role, really.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
So just having a quick look through the chat, I can see that there's one question there that is around the modules and the essay. So I wonder if you could briefly, you three, tell us about what the assignment is. So if I come to Chris first, because I can see she's not coughing, and then Tim, and then Kate, just explain the assignment, please.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Heather. I should try and keep going without having a cough in between. You have a summative assignment at the end of the course, which is a service improvement project of your choosing. So you can completely focus this on your clinical area and what needs to be done. There is a summative assignment, which is a learning action plan, which basically you use that to set out what you're going to do for your service improvement project. So it's a summative assessment and a formative assessment, with the summative leading through to this. Now, the kind of things that people have done in the past, I've seen them do programs of education around gloves, using things like the RCN Gloves Off campaign. People doing education programs in GP practice for Clostridium difficile. I mean, it really can be anything that you want to do. Hand hygiene is obviously a key one that people want to do. As I said, is the PPE, which links really nicely across to sustainability, because I think we're using a lot more gloves and PPE and plastic aprons than we would ever use before COVID. So a really good thing to do. So you work with your coach on narrowing it down, because one of the important things we found is getting people to focus in on it rather than to have something big that they want to do. So you may start off with you want to say, for example, the glove thing is that you want to work across a divisional area to improve that. And working with your coach, they will help you to narrow that down, to look and see whether that's something that's achievable. Because one of the really important things that we want you to do is be able to have the right outcomes and have something that's a manageable project that means something to you. Anything you want to add to that, Heather?
No, I think you covered everything. I think the really key bit is keep it small for the first project. You then learn the skills to then make that a little bit bigger, then, don't you, for the next time? This is teaching you how to do things. So thank you. Tim?
I don't have a great deal to add there, really, because the modules are very consistent in terms of how they're structured and set up. The important thing really here is, and I think I said it a couple of times in my presentation, we really do want you to create something quite special and unique and very focused, something that's going to make a real difference in the area that you work. And it's about really turning theory into practice, that you understand, that others understand, that people see demonstrable change. And this is why we really do link into how we can bring value into the workplace. And in a similar way, as Chris described, there's a formative component, which is a learning action plan, which is essentially describing what your service improvement plan is going to be. And then through the coaching and through support, facilitated support, there is the service improvement plan, which is the actual piece of work that you're going to be undertaken. This is all supported by kind of an e-portfolio approach. So the online learning platform really helps and guides and supports you through this process. The really lovely thing about all three of these programs is that you get a considerable amount of support to really think about what that piece of work is and just how you can make it as meaningful and as impactful as possible. So I really encourage you just to kind of step right in, really, because there is such a really lovely opportunity through each of these programs to make a real difference within your workplace.
Thank you. Kate?
Thank you. So for our course, we have a formative and summative assessment for those that are doing the academic credits, but we also have a smaller a little bar stool exercise, which I think most people really enjoyed, and we really enjoyed listening to it. And that's something that we ask people halfway through the course to sort of go back and choose, not necessarily 3 working colleagues that they're really friendly with, but 3 people within their organisation whether it be within their own ward or within the department or someone down in pharmacy. And really it's about a bar stool exercise. We're just asking the question, what are their views on sustainability, but just listening, and just a 5-minute recording of what they feel sustainability is, not questioning them and not answering them, just sort of listening and then reflecting on that when they get back and writing up a reflection. And I think that really showed us how there's so much diversity actually in the topic itself, and how many people are really concerned, whereas other people are really not that bothered. One of the answers was like, well, what can I do about it? So what's the point? So those are very interesting. And from those topics, then I think it gives you a better understanding to be able to think about how you're going to move forward within your role and within your department. And then if you're coming on to the academic credits that we offer, again, it's a formative and a summative assessment. And really it's critically, as I said earlier, the amount of research regarding this subject is limited. We know a lot about climate diversity and that, but within health and social care, we are limited to what we have. So we want to look at discussing how healthcare procurement reforms based on the science that we have available to us, and how those change and implications will help not only the planet and the habitat, but actually you in your day-to-day, in the economy and the finances. So we're looking at the bigger picture of how it actually affects us within work, and how we can actually take that and move forward within the areas that we do work. And clearly Caroline has discussed what she's been doing post-course today, which is absolutely fantastic. So again, it is an essay. We have a formative, which is just sort of like a wee run through to get you going, and then the summative is the one that is marked and is taken, and that's Coventry University market to their standards, which we're absolutely delighted to have on board. Thank you.
That's great, thank you. I can't see any more questions in the chat. I hope I've answered all your queries. We've put the costs in the chat. You can contact the RCN to get more information from our team, so they'll be able to give you any details that you want to know about dates of programmes, costings, how to book on, all those kind of things. So please don't be frightened to ask. We've also got a brochure that we can share with you if you want to know some more details. But I think if nobody else has got any more questions, I just want to say thank you very much to our speakers tonight. Hopefully that's given you some context and a little bit of taster of what the programmes are about, and look forward to seeing you on further programmes in the future.